Okay, so let's do a little bit of market analysis right now. First of all, let's just refresh this. Coin market cap is at $346 trillion. Some people actually thought it would never come back here. I've been saying for a long time we could see a pullback. In fact, I believe this could go far lower. Overall, I'm extremely optimistic, but about cryptocurrency, and I'm still going to say this year we may see $50,000 Bitcoin prices by the end of the year, but that's going to be determined by how Bitcoin and the crypto market fares against government regulations. Governments always tend to overregulate. Most people don't understand why Bitcoin is so important because most developed countries have been relatively stable, and people don't understand the risk that we currently have through a potentially centralized banking system, which we currently have. If you've not seen the documentary Money as Debt, I highly recommend that you watch that. I have posted about that and talked about that many times on my channel. Once you understand the concepts in that documentary, you'll realize the real risk that we have of government controlling currencies. And so, therefore, the governments already understand this. They want to control the issuance of currencies. So it's going to be fascinating. The science behind the blockchain science behind cryptocurrencies is really probably what's going to potentially bail them out in the long run. But governments are going to attempt to regulate it. People love to say, the diehards like to say they can't stop it. No, they can't stop it. That's true. But they can make it very, very difficult to be able to use Bitcoin as a currency. In fact, right now we're at $7,000 per Bitcoin. I will just tell you, this is a good time to be buying up Bitcoin if you believe like I do long term. So I'll be continuing to buy at these prices. In fact, I'm always a buyer is the truth. I'm always buying a little bit. So what I can tell you is in this space right now, I believe it's tomorrow, the government's looking at the SEC. Well, let's back up here. So there's this news article. SEC continues to drag their feet on Bitcoin ETFs. Of course they are. They don't listen. The SEC understands if there's a lot of interest in Bitcoin and Bitcoin ETFs, especially for institutional investors, it starts to become far more difficult to crack down on it because a lot of these investors, these hedge fund managers, these large banking institutions, very wealthy people run those organizations. Those very wealthy people are extremely powerful lobbying arms inside of Congress. So if these ETFs become a thing and they become very profitable, and you have to understand, these investment banks, it almost doesn't matter whether the underlying security or the ETF actually makes any money or not. Just the fact that they're able to market it and make it sellable and get listed on an exchange, and they can manage it and trade it and that sort of thing for their investors. Ultimately, they're oftentimes making money through other sources like commissions and things like that. So, but if this becomes a very profitable asset class, then it becomes very difficult for the government to start to crack down on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general. So of course they're going to drag their feet on this. And quite honestly, there's some very traditional banking systems that do not want to see cryptocurrency become popular, and they're probably lobbying against the SEC actually attempting to, regulate the space or become acceptable in the space or to create the ETFs, etc. So here's the thing. At these levels, I'm buying, and I'm still optimistic that this is hitting, 50,000. But it doesn't mean it's not going to hit 5,000 or even 1,000 on the way to 50,000. Depending on how Bitcoin and cryptocurrency ends up navigating current coming government regulations. That was my prediction at the beginning of January, is that we will see cryptocurrency regulations this year. So in China, for example, in South Korea, for example, there was this big, negative news. They're going to ban cryptocurrency. They're going to ban cryptocurrency. Well, what they came back and said is, no, we're not going to ban cryptocurrency. We like blockchain and blockchain technology. We don't like the fact that it's called a currency. Therein lies the rub. That's the number one issue that every major government's going to have, especially in a developed country. This is the same issue that U.S. government's going to have. Nobody wants a decentralized currency. And if you don't understand why governments don't want a decentralized currency, then you just need to go watch the documentary Money as Debt. I've talked about it several times on this channel, but if you go watch the documentary Money as Debt, you will understand why the long-term outlook for Bitcoin is actually really, really good, and long-term is going to be amazing. I mean, you'll see why Bitcoin could potentially hit 50,000, 100,000, $500,000 per coin eventually one day. Why is that even a possibility? When you go watch that documentary, Money as Debt, it will make a lot more sense to you. However, the technology is what's going to bail out cryptocurrency, because you cannot have a blockchain without these tokens being created. And these tokens are going to carry some sort of value for the people who hold them and for the people who trade them. Now, will it be used as a mainstream currency? Not as long as governmental developed countries' markets are stable. But there's no guarantee that we're gonna. I mean, there is a possibility sometime in the next 1 to 5 years we have a major worldwide economic collapse. I mean, if you just do research on what's going on out there, and what central banks are doing, that is a real possibility. And even if it doesn't occur, long term, the markets are not going to look positive. Governments are stacking debt on top of debt on top of debt, and they're going to have a challenge being able to unravel that debt. Again, go watch Money as Debt. It explains it super simple. Any middle school age kid can watch it and it will make sense to you. So therefore, I am buying small amounts. This is my most speculative investment. I do invest in real estate. I have investments in other businesses, however, like private businesses. However, this is my most speculative. It's also one of my most exciting investments, and I will continue to buy at these levels. And if it goes down to 5,000, I'll be a buyer. If it goes down to 1,000, I'll be a buyer, specifically in the Bitcoin and Ethereum for now. Those two are really my favorite because they have two different, very important use cases. But just to go ahead and make the case, governments will potentially pressure banks, or banks will pressure governments. I'm not sure where the pressure comes from, but ultimately the governments and the banking system are not going to be fond of Bitcoin. And all you have to do is look at the current news. Check this out. Big banks ban Bitcoin buys. JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citigroup has no to crypto credit card purchases. So this is very fascinating. I will tell you, I attempted to buy some Bitcoin with my PayPal debit card the other day, and it did decline. I actually contacted PayPal and they put it back through, and it was fine, but they saw it as a possible fraud. Last time I bought cryptocurrency, the past couple times I bought cryptocurrency with my PayPal debit card, it was no problem. They issued me a new debit card. I went to process it and it declined. I thought that was fascinating. So, in the short term, I don't think this is good news for the cryptocurrency space. Here we go. UK bank Lloyds doesn't want anyone buying the Bitcoin dip. So, credit crackdown. Right now, they're cracking down on credit. They will later on probably crack down on debit cards as well, and maybe potentially, hopefully not, but potentially they could crack down on wires as well. There will always be a way to buy Bitcoin. There will always be a way to buy Bitcoin, most likely. I don't think the government will ever ban at least U.S. citizens from buying Bitcoin. I think what they'll do is they'll make it very difficult. They may ultimately ban banks from allowing customers to buy it. But there's a lot of ways you can go online in various forms and stuff and purchase Bitcoin with like Amazon gift cards or Visa gift cards. There's other ways to be able to buy it, and it's going to be legal to probably buy it. It will just be challenging to buy it. So now's a good time to be purchasing for sure, because it's easier to purchase right now, and it's going to be fascinating to see what this year holds. And if governments always tend to overregulate, by and large, government regulation isn't a good thing, by and large. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And yeah, it's just going to be fascinating. Here's what I can tell you. This is very interesting to me. Zerocoin aims to become a standard cryptocurrency for online gambling. There's a massive use case for cryptocurrency in the gaming space, sports books, etc. Massive use case, because governments typically crack down on their fiat currency being used in these spaces. So, and this is true for the US as well. So being able to use a cryptocurrency in this space, one of the investments that I have that I haven't talked a whole lot about is crowd-funded bankrolls. There are several, and these are risky investments, but there are several reputable gaming sites online where you're able to basically donate your crypto to them. They will hold your crypto, and you basically earn a percentage of the house is house's money back in crypto. Now, this is a very interesting investment because basically your crypto earns crypto. Now, in my experience, I'm not seeing huge gains. I'm seeing, I'm on track to do 2 or 3% a month right now. So it's not huge, although historically some of these crowdfunded bankrolls have produced as much as 2 to 5% a week. I'm not currently seeing that. But what's fascinating about that is when Bitcoin prices drop, people are more likely to invest and gamble more crypto because they don't see the crypto value as strong because it's not worth as much. So this gives you a chance in a down market basically to earn more crypto because I believe that as the crypto prices continue to drop, I believe that we're going to see an increase in gaming because again, people aren't going to see it as valuable because the price currently isn't as valuable. But my whole goal is just to hoard and slowly buy up more and more crypto. I'm mining right now, which is less and less profitable at these rates. My main goal right now is just to hold Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. That's my main thing. I am investing in places where I can get a return. But again, even that is very, very speculative. Overall, I'm extremely positive about this market. The technology is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I see this ultimately as great buying. And if there's government regulations, then these markets are going to drop even more. People are freaking out. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm losing all this money. You should not be it should not, if you have enough money that you're freaking out because the market's dropping, then you have entirely too much money in this space. What makes this space so incredible are the rapid rises and the rapid drops. But now's the time to be buying. I don't care if you're buying $50 a month. I mean, now's the time, in my opinion, to be buying. At least that's what I'm doing. Thank you so much for watching. This is my market analysis today. Have a great day. God bless. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up icon. And let me know, like this video, and let me know, what are your thoughts on the current market? Are you buying? Are you selling? Or quite honestly, are you freaking out? Let me know.